Have you noticed that Africans do not believe Africans? An African can say something intelligent, but an African will not believe him. An African will believe a foreigner who is less intelligent than that African. Why? Let me teach you. Okay, listen, pay attention, Africa. Pay attention, Akebulan. This is exactly what we have diagnosed and found out among Africans. But why is it so? It is not because Africans are wicked towards themselves. No. It is what I call colonial psychological inheritance. Pay attention. It is what you inherited that you're not even aware that you inherited. But let me diagnose and teach you. You see, before colonization, how was authority perceived in Africa? What were the sources of authority? Pay attention. Knowledge came from elders. Law came from chiefs. Medicine came from herbalists. Education came through oral tradition. These were the sources of authority perceived in Africa before colonization. After colonization, what happened? Knowledge, which previously came from elders, now came from European schools. Are you getting it? Medicine, which previously came from herbalists, now came from European doctors. Religion now came from missionaries. Civilization was no longer a perceived threat of some people or of a people. Civilization now became an European behavior. You are now judged to be civilized based on how European you are, not longer based on how you attribute the concept of your being in your own tradition. So Europe became a standard of civilization. Things has changed. Authority has moved from being African to being foreign. The same thing happened in the school system. What were you taught in school? You were taught Greek philosophy. That is why you know Greek philosophers, Aristotle, Plato, Protagoras, Socrates. But you do not know Imhotep, the man from Kemite, present-day Egypt, whom they learned from. You learned about European explorers, not African explorers, because who you learned is Christopher Columbus, Mungo Park. They told you he discovered you and your river. What else did you learn? So you learned European wars, French Revolution. Okay? You learned about their Great Depression. You learned about their local wars and they called it World War. But you did not learn about your own wars, the Arrow Expedition, the Ashanti War, the Nupe War. You didn't learn about the Ya Atensewa Revolution. You didn't learn about those things. Makatiri Yamenza. No, you learned about European wars. Do you see what you were being taught in school? You learned about their scholars, Shakespeare, Alexander Pope, but you didn't learn about Antechek Dope. You didn't learn about Ngogo Watuongo, Chinua Achebe, Wulosho Inca, Siplane Quensu. You didn't learn about them. So what did that teach you? That made you believe that greatness must come from outside Africa and not within Africa. Your teachers in school did not teach you that, but what they taught you conditioned your mind to believe that greatness must come from outside Africa and not within Africa. That is why you became a product of colonial psychological inheritance. That the only way you can be free is to unlearn what you learned in order to relearn. That is why Town Crier can teach you something you don't believe until a foreigner teaches you that same thing on YouTube, even when that foreigner is less intelligent. Do you understand? You see, that is why it is difficult for Africa to grow. Because a continent that distrusts its own mind will not find its own solution. That is why we will always wait for outside and external validation. Do you understand? Because dependency is first mental. Dependency is first mental before it becomes economical. Until Africans start believing and trusting African intelligence, development will continue to be a promise and not a reality, because we must find African solution to African problems. Decolonization of the mind, Africa. Decolonization of the mind. That is why I take books to schools to decolonize the children, as the curriculum is teaching them about Western perceived greatness. I will be giving them books and teach them about African greatness to compete that which European curriculum designed to do. That is our duty. That is you and I's duty, and you'll be part of that movement. That's why you will support modern day town choir, because in as much as I am in the bush, I am for your child. All Africa, all Akebulan, wisdom is the principal thing. And as you go through your endeavors this morning, being Tuesday, I pray that God bless you. I love you, Akebulan. Wisdom Akebulan is the principal thing.